Level 1, the informant. You sit in a crowded cafe where conversations overlap just enough to hide the one that matters, and your job is to listen without ever looking like you are. Your hands wrap around a cup that has already gone cold, while your eyes move carefully from table to table, memorizing faces, voices, and patterns that don't mean anything to anyone else. A man in a gray coat speaks quietly near the window, his words casual, but his tone too controlled, and you notice how others lean in just slightly when he talks. You don't stare, because staring gets remembered, so instead you adjust your posture and catch his reflection in the glass behind him. Later, you write everything down in a place no one would think to check, using words that don't make sense unless someone already knows the code. When you hand it over, the officer doesn't thank you, doesn't even look impressed, because in this world, doing your job just means you get to survive another day. That night, you lie awake replaying every detail, wondering if you missed something small that could cost someone their life tomorrow. Level 2, the courier. Now you don't just listen. You carry information across places that don't allow mistakes, moving between checkpoints where one wrong glance can stop everything. The papers you carry look ordinary, but the way they're folded and marked turns them into something far more dangerous than they appear. At one checkpoint, a soldier stops you longer than expected, flipping through your documents slowly while your heartbeat begins to echo in your ears. You keep your expression neutral, your breathing steady, even as his eyes linger just a second too long on something that shouldn't stand out. Then he hands them back without a word, and you walk forward without rushing, because running is the same as admitting guilt. By the time you reach your destination, your shirt is damp under your coat, and your hands feel colder than the air around you. You deliver the message, receive a nod, and leave immediately, because staying longer than necessary creates questions you don't want answered. And somewhere along the way, fear starts turning into routine. Level 3, the embedded agent. Now you live inside the system you're trying to break, wearing the same uniform, speaking the same language, and following the same orders as the people you're betraying. Every morning, you look in the mirror and see someone who shouldn't exist, someone built entirely on lies that have to hold under pressure. You attend meetings where plans are discussed openly, and you nod along as if you believe every word being said. But inside, you're separating what matters from what doesn't, storing details that could shift entire operations if they reach the right hands. One night, someone asked you a question you weren't prepared for, something small but specific enough to expose a crack in your story. You answer just slowly enough to seem thoughtful, not hesitant, and you watch their reaction carefully, searching for any sign that they don't believe you. They move on, but the silence that follows feels heavier than anything that came before it. From that moment on, you realize something clearly. You're not just pretending anymore, you're becoming it. Level 4, the handler. Now you're not alone in this role, because others depend on you for instructions, timing, and decisions that can't be undone once they're made. You sit in dim rooms, coordinating movements across different locations, making sure everything aligns perfectly without ever being traced back to you. A delay in one operation forces you to shift another, and that shift creates a ripple that affects people you will never meet. You make the call anyway because hesitation doesn't protect anyone. It only makes things worse. One of your contacts gets captured, and for a brief moment, everything slows down as you consider what they might say under pressure. Then you cut the line completely, removing them from the network before their situation can spread further. That decision stays with you longer than expected, not because it was wrong, but because it was necessary. And slowly, you begin to understand that survival at this level requires letting go of things you once thought mattered. Level 5, the strategist. Now the war starts looking different, because you're no longer focused on moments. You're focused on outcomes that take weeks or months to unfold. Maps replace faces, numbers replace names, and decisions become less about people and more about results. You plan operations that move resources across borders, redirect attention, and create opportunities that don't exist until you build them. Each move is calculated, precise, and designed to appear accidental to anyone watching from the outside. Money flows through hidden channels, funding actions that can't be officially acknowledged, and you track it all carefully to make sure nothing leads back to you. But with that control comes a different kind of pressure, because now mistakes don't just affect individuals, they shift entire strategies. You stop questioning the cost of your decisions, because thinking too much only slows you down. And in this world, being slow is the same as being exposed. Level 6, the controller. Now you oversee entire networks where information, people, and operations move according to systems you've built from the ground up. You don't deal with details anymore, you deal with patterns, ensuring everything runs smoothly without drawing attention. A single disruption forces you to shut down an entire chain instantly, cutting losses before they grow into something uncontrollable. You make that decision in seconds, even though it erases weeks of work and trust that took months to build. People under you wait for your commands, knowing that delays can cost more than just time. And you feel that weight every time a message comes in slightly off schedule. Sleep becomes shorter, lighter, and less reliable because your mind never fully disconnects from what's at stake. Control becomes everything, and losing it, even for a moment, is no longer an option. Level 7, the mastermind. Now everything flows through you, filtered through layers of people who exist only to execute your decisions without question. You operate from secure locations, moving constantly to avoid patterns that could expose you. Meetings are brief, precise, and never repeated in the same place twice, because repetition creates vulnerabilities you can't afford. Reports arrive daily, filled with information that needs immediate action, and you process them without hesitation. When something feels wrong even slightly, you act on it before it has time to become a problem. You remove risks quickly, quietly, and permanently. Trust disappears at this level, replaced by something sharper and far more reliable, control. And in that process, you begin to lose the ability to see people as anything other than variables in a system. The system grows stronger, more efficient, and more effective. But you become something else entirely. Level 8, the ghost. Now you exist above everything, untouchable in theory, but never truly safe in reality. Your influence reaches places you will never personally see, shaping outcomes that unfold far beyond your immediate control. You live in secured spaces, surrounded by layers of protection, yet the feeling of safety never fully arrives. Every sound feels intentional, every delay feels suspicious, and every silence feels like something waiting to break. You check everything twice, then again, because missing one detail could undo everything you've built. The war continues around you, but your role has shifted beyond it, into something that no longer has a clear end. Sometimes you think about the beginning, about how simple it felt when all you had to do was listen and report. Back then, the risks were clear, the goals were simple, and the consequences felt distant. Now everything is blurred together. Decisions, outcomes, losses, victories, none of it feels separate anymore. You've built something powerful, something precise, something that works exactly as intended. But in doing so, you've also built something you can't walk away from. Because at the top, there's no exit waiting for you. Only the system, and the realization that you're no longer inside it. You are it.